Some days you sit down and get right to work, while on others, even starting feels like a fight. And once you do, you're still not at your best. Instead of fighting yourself, here's how to make a low motivation day productive anyway. All right, you guys. So you ask, when my motivation is low, how can I lift myself and work well? On some days, my motivation is decent or high, and I don't have a problem starting to work. On other days, my motivation is low, and it takes an effort to get going. Even after I start, I'm less motivated, so I work less well. Do you want to add to this, or do you want to rephrase it in some way, or is this the question?
I have a sort of partial answer in that when I've slept well, my motivate when I'm not feeling tired, my motivation is much higher, and so I work much better. So I guess one of the answers is almost like sleep much better, or go to bed earlier and sleep longer. But that's a kind of discipline in itself. So I think that's one answer. But let's say even I've slept well and still I'm not feeling so motivated, or I haven't slept well and I'm not feeling like what's your answer to if you're not feeling so up for it on a given day? How does one motivate oneself? How do you motivate yourself?
The first thing when I read the question, I said, all right, and so the first thing is, don't fight yourself. This is totally normal. Everybody has that. Athletes have it. You know, professionals in every occupation have days where they're more motivated, days when they're less motivated. Athletes have days when they play better, days when they play less, better. Sometimes it depends to the physical and emotional state. Sometimes it's just just you had these days. So the first thing is to not fight it and understand. Okay, I'm having one of those days. This is the way it is. It's the first thing to accept. All right. And the first thing you can do after you accept that is, okay, so what can I focus on a day like this, on a day where I'm less motivated, on a day that I see like the big task as like huge tasks, or I don't have the energy and willpower and whatever I need to tackle something that I know has been waiting for me. I feel the urge to postpone it more, to procrastinate on it. Okay, it's okay. This is okay. So what can I do on a day like this? After we accepted it, you identify tasks that you can do, and you start with those. Okay, that's the first thing and the easy thing. Acceptance. Start with those, and know tomorrow's another day. Like you said, I have days like this, and I have days like that. It's not. If you would have told me, I have for the last month, I haven't been motivated. That's a different thing. But you're saying I have days like this and days like that. That means you kind of put yourself down, or you don't accept those days. But you have to accept them because everybody has them. Again, it's part of life. It's part of work, and it's okay. And if you're saying, hey, maybe this is a sign for me to not work on those, big tasks today, but just tackle the things that I know is easy for me, my comfort zone. I do it easily. I don't have to fight. I don't have to be like super motivated for those. And it's an opportunity to get those knocked out. And once you knock them out, usually what happens is you get motivated because you check things, you get those little dopamine rushes. It's like
Yeah.
people say, like personal trainers say, on days you don't feel like working out, just do 10 push-ups. Just do like, 10 sit-ups, whatever. Just do something really, really
Yeah.
trivial. And then when you do that, you're saying, okay, I can do 10 more. And now you feel the adrenaline, you feel
Right.
the dopamine rush. You say, okay, I'm going to work out now.
You play a game with yourself.
So that's the first thing I would do. Okay. Second thing I would do is I would choose one thing that if I got it done, that day will still be productive. So one of the things that makes us, want to procrastinate or feel less motivated is, oh, I got so much stuff to do today, and I just don't feel the motivation to do everything that I have today. But who said you need to do everything? Who said that? No one said that. And you don't. Okay. The fact that you have a lot of things It might mean you have too much stuff. It doesn't mean that necessarily everything you have is important. And a task could be to filter out the things that are not, not so important. But we'll talk about that later. So in days with less motivation, what I do is I go through all of my to-dos, all of my projects, whatever, and I say, what's the one thing that if I knock out today, I will tell, okay, it was a productive day. Just one. And I choose that. You can
Yeah.
do one thing, right? Even on days when you have motivation, you can do one thing. So it's a matter of choice. When you do that, of course, you know what happens, right? Your motivation comes back. But even if it doesn't, you're saying, okay, this is a productive day because I chose the one thing that will make this day be considered productive, even though I've done only that thing. Third thing I would do is to rediscover what motivates you and lean on it. So you said I have days when I'm really motivated and I work well and I knock out a lot of tasks and whatever, and days that I don't. On the days that you do, that you feel motivated, do you know what causes that? Except the sleep.
I have to think about that really. What possibly it's to do with tasks that I've been putting off for a long time, or and then I do those tasks, and then so you feel motivated to do it, or there's a bit of a deadline, or it's tasks that are going to help grow the business. So something that's to do with marketing, or you phone up some prospective customers. Uh, so that can, like as you say, it can build on itself. Like you have a good sales conversation.
Interesting. Yeah, we said before that you can build your motivation throughout the day, but I mean, let's assume you have those days when you come to work motivated. You feel it from the beginning of the day. Maybe you did your morning routine, you did the cold plunges, whatever people do. I don't recommend that, but people get themselves hyped in. I believe in that. I think like athletes prepare and stretch and warm up for the game. I don't see why a businessman wouldn't do stuff to prime his brain for working in his body. That makes perfect sense. Let's say you got one of those days that you're motivated, and you just told me what I heard from you now is in days that I knock out, I knock out stuff that I know are important, and I feel the productiveness, you know, and I know there's a deadline. You also said that I know there's a deadline, and I'm motivated also by the deadline. So what you can do, if you have a tendency to get motivated because there's a deadline, and it creates urgency for you, and it makes you do tasks that otherwise you would procrastinate on, but once you have a deadline, so what you can do is you can artificially bring the deadline closer to you. And I don't know about you, but with me, if I tell myself, like, if I'm like become my own boss, okay, let's say, which I do that, and say, hey, you need to finish that until tomorrow, because otherwise stuff are gonna get in the way. Even though you have a week for that, that will clear your schedule, that will clear your plate to
Yeah.
think, or that will clear your plate to do stuff that you really want to, you never have time. Like if I finish that by today or by tomorrow, let's say, then tomorrow I can have 2 hours off to go play pickleball or whatever soccer, okay? I'm gonna have a break with my wife in the middle of the day. I'm gonna take 2 hours. Why? Because I finished that. So I create this artificial deadline for me. I create motivation for that deadline, and I go for it, and I start playing that game of bringing the deadlines closer and closer to me. And like you said, when you do a task that is close to the deadline, you feel like, okay, I feel great. I had a good day. So this is another thing I would do. Do you have a question about that?
Yeah, a couple of comments. Sometimes
Sure.
there's no choice. When you have a deadline, there's no choice but to do it. So you're not necessarily motivated to do it in the positive sense. It's more in the negative sense. So just for example, today's the 10th of the month, so I know I have to pay all the teachers today.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a task that takes an hour or so. I'm transferring the money. So that's part of my values is to pay the teachers on time on the day that I promised to pay them. So that's a motivation to get that task done today, and I know I have to, that for me is a must to get it done. Um,
But let me just stop you for 1 second.
yeah,
It is a motivation, but that also adds unnecessary pressure. and tension that you don't need, that
Okay.
ruins your motivation. That is what's burning a lot of business owners out. That constant pressure. So everything's been done at the last minute, or it's really important for me to pay all my teachers, you and me too. So I'm gonna do it by the 10th of the month, but I'm gonna do it at the 9th at the afternoon. So that adds a lot of pressure until the tasks get done. But what if you say, because it's so important for me, I'm gonna do it like, can you do it before? I mean, can you do it like a day
Yeah.
before, 2 days before? Can you do it?
Yeah. And
Because it's so
sometimes.
important for me, and because I don't want to make mistakes, and because I know my nervous system, if I add unnecessary pressure to it, pressure, 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 always last minute, last minute, last minute, it's taxing me. It's taxing your nervous system. It gets you tired. It gets you weaker. It hurts your sleep, and then you get less motivated. So what if I say the last minute for doing that task is not when I have to deliver those salaries, it's the last minute I can do it without feeling the pressure of doing it in the last minute. Did I
Yeah.
make myself clear? This is your next last minute before you stop feeling the pressure. When you say, okay, I have no pressure to do it now, but I know that if I do it tomorrow, I'm going to do it with pressure because there's a lot of other things and I need to do it really, really fast and I don't want to make mistakes. But if I do it now, I have the time. I have my nervous system is relaxed. My mind is clear. This is the last minute. You can see you see how it changes things?
Sure. I have sometimes I do pay well before the 10th of the month. Just turned out this time round it was today, which is sort of the deadline to do it. Um, and then another something I said earlier about how one task's build, you finish one task, and so that creates momentum. So I think that didn't really answer the question because it was essentially repeating what you said, which was to once you've done one task, you get that dopamine rush or the motivation to continue to do more. But the other thing you said is interesting is like, which I don't really do, is to reward yourself. To
Yeah.
I sort of like wait till the end of the day and then I have my hour or two of relaxation and watching a bit of TV or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's because you're British. You got it. You don't give to yourself, you don't congratulate yourself enough. You don't express enough emotion towards yourself. You need to do it more.
I'll think about
Start
that.
start with getting yourself gifts. It could be rewarding yourself with time, but
Yes.
I know that that is something that you will probably fill with some other task. I got time, so let me do that thing. Something will come up. You run a school, you have teachers, you have clients. There's always something coming up. Oh, I got time, so I'll do it. I know it. So start with rewarding yourself with presents, with gifts. Think about like a small thing you can give to yourself.
Yeah.
It can be like a chocolate or like a candy bar that you like. It could be like some sort of on the way home, buy something you really like to eat or whatever. It can be a piece of clothing. It could be something for your equipment at home. Whatever it is, whatever makes you feel good. Even if it's a small thing, you can start with that.
So what you're saying is when you set yourself a task, whatever it happens to be, and then if you complete that task, you reward yourself either by spending some time on something that you want to do that you've been putting off, or by buying yourself a gift as essentially to reward yourself. And that's kind of creates the motivation and the momentum. Like if you're not feeling so hot on any given morning, like tomorrow morning, I'm not feeling so great. Well, hang on, if I get these tasks done, then I'll buy myself a gift or I'll take some time out to do something that I enjoy. That, and it's not necessarily the time at the end of the day, which is when I generally tend to um, do stuff like that, but it's in the middle of the day.
In the middle of the day, you give your nervous system and your brain a sign, your mind a sign that you really appreciate yourself because you're going out of your way, out of your comfort zone, and doing something out of the ordinary, which is, taking a break in the middle of the day to do something that makes you feel good. That's
But the
that's a
thing is,
signal for you, for your nervous system to know that you're really happy with yourself and you're really grateful for to yourself for the way, for your choices, for your decisions, which is something I really recommend doing. But you said something. You said you buy yourself gifts for doing a task or whatever. For me personally, I will do it at the end of the day. At the end of the day, of a day that I feel that I knocked out something that's important to me. Even if I didn't actually succeed in it, but I tried to do something that's out of my comfort zone and that is new to me, like we're doing these videos, let's say,
yeah.
I will reward myself for that. After good tasks, uh, now I do it. I take time to reinforce myself, to tell myself, like I would tell an employee that has done a good job or that have tried to do something that's again out of the ordinary, or how do we say it in Hebrew? "Gdil rosh." How do you say it in
Makes
English?
sense. So one way of saying it is to take the initiative. If you're
Taking
talking,
initiative. Okay, all right.
yeah,
So
or
on
it's
days that I've taken initiative that is out of the ordinary, I would say I would congratulate me and tell myself that I'm really proud of myself. I would spend a few minutes to get up from my chair and just tell myself that I'm really proud of myself. And because like like your employees need it, you need it too. But if you always treat yourself like, okay, like, okay, you did it, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing, you're drained. Who's gonna feed your soul? Who's gonna feed your sense of wanting recognition? No one's gonna do it because we are on top. So we have to do it for ourselves. It's not just the results, because if you only feel good when you get results, uh, I don't think it's a good signal for you as a business owner at all. A better signal for you that you're doing good is when you're actually doing the work, and like we said, taking initiative, trying stuff that are hard, picking the one task that will make the day productive rather than other things. This is what you congratulate yourself on. And then the more you do it, the more you are encouraged to do it. And your nervous system picks that, and the results come. So you don't have to wait for the results. You get the results because you do it. All right. And let me tell you one other thing that I want to close this video with. I read a book recently, which has really had a huge, profound influence on me, which is
yeah,
a book by Nirayal, and it's called Beyond Belief. And Nirayal is a Stanford professor, and he's like this scientific guy. He's not this woo woo, believe in yourself, think and manifest reality guy. No, he's a really scientific guy that goes and explore everything like really, really thoroughly, scientifically, and the way they do in those Ivy League universities. And he went and researched the concept of belief.
yes,
What he found, or the way he opens the book and describes it, he said that many people think that motivation is a combination of two things, like the thing you want and the result. It's like we say, in PTA, you have the pain and you have the result, the thing you want to get to, okay, or how this problem is resolved, whatever it is. It can be, I want to be rich, or it can be, and I'm not, it can be, I want the school to run without me, okay,
yeah,
your problem. And you have the problem that you have to do a lot of things yourself and you get worn out, and you want the school to be run like perfectly without you, okay. And he discovered that those two things are not enough. It was a research on these rats. Okay,
yes,
not a very nice research, but it was telling a lot. So they took rats and they put them in cylinders with water. Okay, it took two groups of rats. One group, they put them in cylinders of water and let them swim until they drowned, and they watched how long does it take for them to give up and drown. And it turns out when you put rats in cylinders without the opportunity to escape. In about 15 minutes, they give up and they drown. I really hope, they saved them later, but they did drown in about 15 minutes. Makes sense. Okay, then they did the research with a different group of rats. They waited until they were almost about to give up. And when they saw they're getting tired and almost give up, they pulled them out. They dried them out. They let them, just regain the power again, and they put them back in the water.
Okay.
And guess how much more time they swam after they did that?
Half an hour?
Half an hour is a good guess, like twice as much. Okay.
Yeah.
And I saw Nir tells us that story exactly that. Like he's asking that question and people guess a half an hour. Okay, guess again.
An hour.
An hour, like 4 times as much.
Yeah.
So, and you can check that research online. You don't have to believe me or Nir. Check that research online. The answer, you got, is 60 hours. 60. So almost 3 days.
They swam for 60 hours.
60 hours they did that, and they didn't give up until they gave up. 60 hours. So from 15 minutes to 60 hours.
That's insane.
And what was the differentiator? The differentiator was the belief that they could be saved. The first one said, "It's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'm gonna die. I'm letting go." But the second group said, "When I try, I get pulled out. I get dry, and I'm gonna come back." That belief, that hope that things are gonna be okay, I'm gonna survive, made them swim for 60 hours. And that parable is also helps you understand, that we as human, we have much more capabilities than we understand, we can understand or believe. And you see it with exceptional people. It's not that they're exceptional people. It's that they have what the rats developed in this experiment, which is belief. Okay? So Nir says that motivation isn't a straight line from pain to result, to relief, but it's a triangle. You need one more aspect, which is the belief that you can get the result. Either that you have the capabilities to get there or that it's possible. Maybe because other people did it, or you have the means, or you saw proof of it before or later. Right. You need to believe. Remember that when you're saying when you're talking about motivation, and ask yourself, am I lacking motivation because I don't know what to do, or because I don't know where I'm going, or because I don't know what my pain is? Or is it because I'm not sure that I can actually pull this off? I don't have the belief that it could be done in that period of time or whatever. And then if it's that, look for proof. Try to look for proof. Maybe ask yourself, hey, did I do it before? Yes. So maybe it can be done. Do I know other people that did it? Yes. Okay, that's another proof that it can be done. Okay. Can I make one step towards it? Yes. I take the step. That's another proof. Now you're a little bit closer. Okay. So if you understand the factor of belief, the factor belief plays in motivation, you can go and play that game. How can I increase my certainty? How can I strengthen my belief that this is possible? And that motivates you as well. Not just rewarding yourself, but rewarding your belief. Let's say belief system, or
Right.
So that's just something that I really think about every day. Before I start doing something that appears hard or that I don't feel like doing, I ask myself those questions, and I start to build up my belief in the possibility of reaching that goal, and of like, my capability of performing, and that strengthens my motivation. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Igal.
All right. Thank you, Ido.
Thank you, and I'll see you next time. If this was helpful and it brought up a follow-up question or even completely different business question, leave it in the comments. I read them all and I answer everyone. And if you'd like to work through a question with me here on YouTube, submit it through the link below. I'll invite some of you onto the channel and we'll talk about it together.